Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the series of online lectures on various texts. So far, I have given e-lectures on Paradise Lost, Abhigyan Shakuntala, Ghashiram Kotwal, Gandhism, the Doom of Untouchables, and then recently I have finished my online lecture on the text and the drama Who is Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Now this is another text that I am going to deal with in my e-lecture series. So the text that we are going to study now is a world classic drama, a tragedy, a great tragedy, Oedipus the King. Well, we have heard this word Oedipus in Freudian theory, Freudian psychoanalysis. We have heard these words Oedipus complex and Electra complex, and these concepts are quite clear to us. What is Oedipus complex? What is Electra complex? We know them very well. I'll just brief about them, the things which we already know, but just to revise. Oedipus complex, as Freud says, is a kind of attachment that is there between a son and his mother. We usually see this happening. Usually, son loves mother more than he loves his father. And Electra complex is that in which it is a commonly known fact that a daughter loves her father more than she loves her mother. This is the concept told by Sigmund Freud, and these concepts take their root in the myth of Oedipus the King in Greek mythology. Well, so the word Oedipus is commonly known to us because of Freud, but here we are going to study how this concept came into being. What's the reason Sigmund Freud speaks like this in this concept, Oedipus complex and Electra complex? Well, we always see that English literature and many other literatures in Europe take their origins from Greek and Latin and Roman mythologies. Usually the epics like Virgil's Aeneid, Homer's Iliad and Odyssey become a major source for much of English literature and other European literature. And most of the Greek mythologies have been interpreted, reinterpreted and analyzed in many books of European literature. So this play, Oedipus the King, is considered as one of the most important plays in Greek literature. In fact, the greatest scholar, a polymath, Aristotle, considers in his book Poetics Oedipus the King as the greatest tragedy ever written. It is, for him, it is the best example of a tragedy, and he goes on giving lots of examples from Oedipus the King to illustrate his theory of poetics. So what is a tragedy and why it is important? He speaks of all these concepts in his book Poetics, Aristotle. And it is a matter of common sense as well that when we watch a comedy or a comic entertainment movie or a film, we tend to enjoy it, laugh at it, or laugh on it for some time, and we forget it. We don't usually remember the jokes, or even if we remember the jokes in that comical movie, we tend to forget it easily. And then when we watch the same comic movie again and again, we don't laugh at it. We all have this kind of an experience, right? So the joke becomes old and it does not evoke any kind of laughter in the second repetition or the third repetition. But the case is different when it comes to tragedies. A tragedy is the greatest form of art according to Aristotle. Why? The reason he goes on giving is that, and we even have felt the effects of tragedy on our minds. When we watch a tragic movie or when we watch a tragic drama, we feel that we are one with the characters on the stage or on the screen. We feel the emotions expressed by those characters and we involve ourselves in that experience. Thereby, we also feel purgation of emotions, or it is rightly called as catharsis. I mean, if the hero or the heroine is crying in the movie, if the hero and heroine are suffering, we also become so much involved with the characters that we also feel like crying with them, and sometimes we cry out. We feel the same kind of pain felt by the characters in the drama or in the film. We try to relate our life with the life happening on stage or on the screen. Thereby, we relate much to tragic dramas or tragic films, and we tend to remember these films forever. A tragedy is remembered forever because of its deep psychological impact that it has on us. And every time you watch the same tragic movie, you feel the same emotions once again and you respond to them equally. Whereas if it is a comedy, there is a joke. If the joke is repeated, we don't laugh. But in a tragedy, if the scene of pain, of unpleasant experiences is repeated, we tend to feel the same pain again and again, and our emotions are purged out. It becomes a catharsis and we feel relieved. Our mind feels relaxed after the painful emotions are spent. So, tragedy is also considered as therapeutic because it releases your pent up emotions and energies, thereby your mind becomes free, decluttered. This is what Aristotle also says in his book Poetics, that tragedies lead to purgation of emotions, thereby resulting in the catharsis. All the pent up emotions are released and we feel extremely relieved after watching a tragedy, and we relate to tragedies throughout our life. So tragedies always have deep impact on human psychology. And while discussing about the various elements of tragedy, Aristotle considers Oedipus the king as the most important tragedy in Greek literature. In fact, it is a part of Greek literature, but it has become world famous. That's why we study it under the subject world classics. It has been translated into several languages. across the world. So coming now, I have given you a brief sort of introduction to why tragedies are so important. Now, I would like to discuss in brief, because you will get all the details on the internet about the details of Sophocles and Oedipus Rex. By the way, this drama is also known with the title Oedipus Rex. Rex means a king, and also King Oedipus, also known as King Oedipus. So these are the other two titles of the same drama. Now, so this drama was written by the Greek dramatist, ancient Greek dramatist Sophocles. It was a time in Greek kingdom or Greek empire. There was a tradition. The Greek people paid a lot of respect to arts, to various forms of arts and knowledge. So there used to be drama competitions every year, and most of the dramas would be performed in the capital city of the city states like Athens, Sparta and many other ancient Greek cities. So this man Sophocles, as a playwright, also took part in the drama competitions held in Greece. So it is an Athenian tragedy. It was performed in Athens. It was a part of the drama competition, and it was considered as one of the greatest drama even in those times. So it is Athenian tragedy first performed in around, so the exact year in which it was published is unknown, because those were historical times long back, even in BC, era of BC, before Christ. So it was first performed somewhere around 429 BC, roughly around 50 or 60 years before Aristotle came into being. It is a part of trilogy that Sophocles wrote for the sake of performance in the drama competitions. So which are the other two plays that were written along with this? The other two plays were Antigone, and then the second one was this Oedipus the King, and the third one was Oedipus at Colonus. What does this word mean? Oedipus. The word Oedipus. It's now we know that it is the name of a king, a Greek king. But the word Oedipus comes from the word Oedipus. It means a swollen foot. There is a story behind this. Why it is called stolen foot? It is a Greek word. King Oedipus was cast out of the town with his feet anchored together by a sharp instrument. Okay. So it was pierced when he was a small baby. He was pierced into both his feet and thrown out of the city of. He was not literally thrown, but he was sent out of the town. Now there is a story behind this, which I will be telling in detail. So this play was written and it was considered as one of the greatest plays, and later in the next century Aristotle even appreciates this play as one of the greatest tragedies that was ever written, and that is how the form of tragedy itself becomes famous. So where is the story taken from? So the story of Oedipus the king is one of its episodes is there even in the Homer's epic Odyssey. It contains the earliest account of the Oedipus myth when Odysseus encounters Jocasta in the underworld. So there is a reference of Oedipus and his myth. See, it is a myth, so we don't know how far it is true, and usually all the myths have a kind of aura around them. Nobody knows its validity or its truth to 100% extent. So it is a myth, but myths are so important in building up a culture. You see, the whole of India is built upon two great epics which are myths, the Ramayana and Mahabharata. And there have been lots of discussions whether these were the real stories or imaginary stories. But whether they were imaginary or real stories, they do have a lot of impact on building up the Indian culture. So in the same way, as I was saying in the beginning, Greek epics, Roman epics played a great role in building up the culture of Europe. They contained a lot of myths, mythological stories, which don't have a background of truth, but you can't deny their presence in a particular culture. So this Oedipus myth, it is there mentioned in Homer's Odysseus as well. So the story can be taken, by Sophocles from that part in Homer's epic. How this play was received, what is its reception, and what is its influence in the modern times? See, the world classics always stand the test of time, right? So their fame, their greatness never decreases. So this play has been famous right from its first performance in 429 BC, roughly around this time. So the original performance of this play won the second prize in the city of Dionysia. So when this play was taken out for the competitions elsewhere in other Greek cities, this play won the second prize in the city of Dionysia in Greece. Then later Aristotle, as I have already said, he considered it as the perfect example of a tragedy. How should be a tragedy? It should be like Oedipus the king. Then a critic, Cedric Whitman, says Oedipus Rex passes almost universally for the greatest extant Greek play. Extant means it has been there since so many thousands of years, so many centuries it has been there, and it is the greatest example of Greek drama, says Cedric Whitman. Then H.D.F. Kitto, English translator of Oedipus Rex, says it is true to say that the perfection of its form implies a world order. So he says it is perfect in all its aspects, says H.D.F. Kitto. Later in the early 20th century, in the late 19th century, Freud took up this myth and created a whole psychological concept called Oedipus complex, and then he also developed Electra complex based on these two myths. So this play has got a lot of influence even in the modern times as well. So the fame of Oedipus is there, and this is a mark of a world classic drama. Now, you might have heard already the story of Oedipus. It is the story of an unfortunate king, later he becomes king, who has accidentally killed his own father and has married his own mother. So that is the briefest summary I can give you. Later I am going to discuss the whole plot. So it is majorly a drama of fate, ill fortune or misfortune. Okay. Unfortunately, see, the events that are taking place in the drama are beyond human control. Everything is decided by fate. When killing his own father, Oedipus does not know that it is his own father that he is killing. He is mistaken. See, this is the drama of prophecies coming true, oracles coming true. So it's a drama of fatalism. Whatever is decided in the fate is going to happen, no matter how much you try to avoid them. Okay, so it is the story, a tragic story of an unfortunate man who kills his own father and eventually marries his own mother and bears children from her. Okay, this is an addition to the already tragic story of that man called Oedipus. But this unfortunate man is not an ordinary man. He is a great man, and what has come to his life is just because of fate, and this is what Sophocles tries to say through this drama. Now I will discuss about the plot. But before that, I would like to speak in brief how this tragedy is different from the later tragedies written in English. For example, the tragedy is written by Shakespeare. Okay. So this Oedipus the King, the drama, it is one of the earliest standard examples of tragedy, and it is not divided in the form of acts and scenes. Okay, so this is the major difference between Shakespearean tragedies and ancient Greek tragedies. Oedipus the King is not divided into acts and scenes. Secondly, it is mostly written in the form of verse, and the length of the drama is counted in terms of lines, total number of lines. Although there are dialogues, those dialogues are also in the form of metrical composition or in the form of some kind of verse. So the language mostly becomes poetic. This might be an impact of earlier epics that were written in Greek and Roman history. The language was not yet prosaic, it was mostly in the form of metrical composition. Then another important element which is there in this drama, which is different from Shakespearean dramas, is the presence of chorus. Now we know the meaning of chorus. The word comes from Greek language. Chorus is a group of singers. Okay. Actually, it's a group song. Chorus means group song. It is the modern meaning of the word chorus. But in Greek tragedies, in the play Oedipus the King, chorus is a group which too has an active role not just as singers or a group of singers, but the chorus represents citizens of the empire, and it is a representation of all the citizens personified as one person, and that is nothing but chorus. Okay, as you read the text of the drama, you will come to know how chorus has been an important part in the drama Oedipus the King. And then there are elements like strophe and antistrophe. These are parts, these are again verse lines sung by chorus, and they are in a kind of response to the action that is happening on the stage. How a citizen would have reacted in a certain situation is shown in strophe and antistrophe, which are spoken through the mouth of chorus. It is like Sutradhara, who is making a commentary of the action or giving a background story to the action. As in Indian dramas, it is Sutradhara. Chorus, with their strophes and antistrophes, go on commenting upon the story that is happening in this drama. Again, one more element I would like to add here: the concept of, or the technique of, in medias res has also been used in this drama, and that is also an influence of the epic conventions used by earlier Greek poets. So this is how Oedipus the King, an ancient Greek tragedy, a classical drama, is different, much different in its structure from the modern tragedies, English tragedies written by Shakespeare and other English writers. So these are some of the major elements of the drama I wanted to focus about in my first lecture on the play Oedipus the King. In the next class, I will give you the background story of the play. We will understand who is Oedipus, why it is called as a tragedy, how fate decides everything in human life, why Oedipus has to suffer so much. So we will look at the story of Oedipus in the next lecture. Thank you.